Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your Monday Night Raw post show. Starting off the night, man, we have Gunther. Gunther comes out to the ring after his match that he had with John Cena in John Cena's last match, which we will talk about, by the way. But Gunther comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone, says he did what he said he was going to do, and make John Cena give up. Gunther says that Cena gave up like a bitch. Gunther then taunts the crowd. He goes back and forth from the entrance ramp to the ring a couple times, mocks the crowd. Gunther says that his time is now, pretty much mocking John Cena. Gunther then finally makes his way to the backstage area. He's greeted by Otis and Tozawa. Otis asked, "Are you happy with what you did?" Gunther smiles at Otis and kind of walks it off. And then as he keeps walking towards the back, Gunther is also greeted by R-Truth. R-Truth calls Gunther a piece of trash. Then once he makes his way out to the parking lot, or towards the parking lot, Gunther is greeted by Pierce. Pierce says that a ring general doesn't parade around gloating about what he just did by beating John Cena in the way that he did. Instead, rather than being the ring general, Pierce calls Gunther an asshole. Pierce then smiles at Pierce, or Gunther smiles at Pierce and he walks it off. Gunther finally makes his way out to the parking lot, where he is greeted by none other than AJ Styles. AJ Styles was pretty much sitting on the rental car that I'm assuming was Gunther's because he got into the car and left. But Gunther, as he was getting ready to leave, he rolls down his window, looks at AJ Styles and does the "you can't see me," and then laughs and smiles as he drives off, and AJ Styles looks pissed off. A couple of things I want to talk about with this quickly, man, or as quick as I can. I watched highlights of the John Cena match with Gunther, okay? And obviously, that match ended with a lot of controversy. A lot of fans, a lot of people were pissed off about the outcome of that match. This is my entire situation with this, or at least how I feel about it. John Cena's retirement tour, was it the best? No, it was not. It was very lackluster at times, lack of build towards certain matches, and it just wasn't there. I mean, there was maybe a few matches out of the entire retirement tour as a fan that I enjoyed. Randy Orton versus Cena, AJ Styles versus Cena was absolutely incredible. Mysterio and AJ Styles wasn't that bad either, but there really wasn't a lot of matches in John Cena's retirement tour that I actually really enjoyed. And the way that they kind of played it out throughout the entire year, it wasn't it for me. If I'm comparing apples to oranges, I'm going to be honest. I think the way that AEW handled Sting's retirement tour and handled his retirement was put together and done way better than what they were doing with John Cena, in my opinion. And then we have other matches throughout that, his last time is now tour, if you will, or his retirement tour, where the matches just didn't make sense. Like, we get to Brock Lesnar and John Cena at WrestlePalooza, which turned into a disaster. A lot of people were genuinely pissed off about the outcome of the Brock Lesnar and John Cena match that took place at WrestlePalooza. Even ESPN made comments about that specific match as well, which one of the reasons why ESPN gave WrestlePalooza a grade of a C, which obviously pissed off a lot of representatives from WWE. With that being said, though, we get to this match here at Saturday Night's Main Event. John Cena versus Gunther. Gunther is the last opponent, which, I mean, honestly, for what it's worth, once Gunther was announced for this tournament, it was kind of premeditated that he was going to be in the finals against John Cena, and that he was going to be John's final opponent. I know a lot of people were at the floodgates wondering why LA Knight didn't get this opportunity. I don't know. But I watched the match, and a lot of people were up in arms about it. A lot of people weren't thrilled about the outcome of the match, being as it, was John's last match ever in WWE. And I sat there and watched the highlights of the match, man. And the one thing that I guess caused the most controversy was not only the fact that John Cena lost his last match, it was how the match ended. A lot of people were upset with Gunther, or upset with WWE, or especially upset with Triple H. They were pretty much booing him out of the damn building. My issue with this was the way that John went out. When he sat there and just smiled, and just gave that little tap on Gunther's shoulder to pretty much signal the referee that he tapped out. I'm not going to lie, bro. It it kind of gave me vibes of, the finger poke of doom that Hogan did with Kevin Nash. It was kind of like, and some people might say, well, bro, that's kind of, it's kind of wild that you have that kind of thought process into this match, and how that, those matches are totally two different matches and two different stipulations. But it just, the way that John Cena tapped out, it was just like, you know what, bro, like, I just didn't get it. And at the end of the match, too, I mean, even if you look at the match, you can even see Gunther look at the referee and ask the referee if John even tapped out. Like, Gunther looked very confused at the outcome of that match. You know what I mean? So that's red flag number one. Red flag number two, it almost seemed as if John was willing to put somebody over. Obviously, WWE and the powers that be have a lot of hype, if you will, around Gunther. They're praising Gunther. They believe Gunther is the next big thing in WWE, and rightfully so. But the confusement of this match, I just felt like he was all over the goddamn place. And not for nothing. I mean, I understand John wanting to put over other talent, and throughout the card for Saturday Night's Main Event, we had NXT talent. We had Sol Ruca versus Bayley, which was a good match. Could have went a little bit longer than what it did. We had Leon Slater and Javon Evans taking on Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, which I thought was a decent match as well. We also had Cody Rhodes, the Universal Champion, taking on the NXT World Champion in Oba Femi. Good matches. I mean, for what it's worth, if we're speaking about Oba Femi real quick, Oba Femi, I'm hoping and praying that in some way or some kind of capacity, he ends up going over to SmackDown. I think he would thrive on SmackDown. I mean, bro, when he came out to that match with Cody Rhodes, he got the same, if not more, of an ovation from the crowd than Cody Rhodes did. He got a huge ovation from the crowd in DC. The entrance was awesome. The way that he comes to the ring, his presence that he has when he comes out to the ring, man, you can tell this guy is an absolute beast. And with SmackDown going into 3 hours starting in January for the foreseeable future, they need talent like an Oba Femi on SmackDown, bro, because right now SmackDown has literally been the punchline for WWE for quite some time. It's lackluster. They're lacking talent. They're lacking storylines. They're lacking depth on that roster. And bringing in someone like Oba Femi, maybe the possibility of bringing someone in like Jordan Grace. I mean, these are conversations that I'm hoping is happening behind closed doors for SmackDown once they go to 3 hours. Because if this is what we're going to get now for SmackDown going into the new year, and it's going to be 3 hours moving forward, it's going to be a rocky road for Friday Night SmackDown moving forward if they don't start calling up NXT talent. But like I said about John Cena and Gunther, man, I wasn't thrilled with the outcome of the match, the way that it ended. I stand on business with this. I think his retirement tour was shit. The way they put it together, I mean, lack of story, lack of build. It wasn't there for me personally. In a career that will go down as one of the greatest careers of all time. I mean, John Cena, without even a doubt, will go down as one of the greatest of all time. 17-time world champion. A 23-year career. I mean, John Cena has done it all in WWE. And like I said, he will go down as one of the greatest of all time. But the other thing I would say about that Gunther and John Cena match, too, where I'm, looking at the other side of the coin with Gunther, is how this is going to play out for Gunther. Now, WWE could capitalize on gold here with Gunther, with him being the biggest heel in all of professional wrestling. He just beat the GOAT, got rid of John Cena, he got rid of Goldberg. He's starting to slowly get rid of some of the people's, all-time greats, all-time favorites. If WWE does this correctly, Gunther can be the next big heel in all of professional wrestling, if they do it correctly. Now, to me, in my honest opinion, after what we saw on Monday Night Raw, especially with Gunther and AJ Styles, I think Gunther's next target should be AJ Styles. Now, I know some people will say, well, why would we do that when AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are the current WWE World Tag Team Champions? I don't know how long those guys are going to hold that belt, considering the fact that the Usos are now back in the tag team division. They got a really good win on Monday Night Raw, which we will talk about here shortly. The Usos are obviously pushing themselves up throughout the tag team division, or starting to possibly become World Tag Team Champions. That's just what it seems like to me on paper. AJ Styles and Gunther, I mean, you also have to remember this. AJ Styles already made the announcement this year that going into 2026 is going to be his last year, and that he's going to retire. Is this something where we're going to have Gunther being as that he just beat John Cena. A lot of people, love John Cena and, praise John Cena, and everybody was like, oh yeah, John Cena is the greatest of all time. Are we getting the same outcome here when it pertains to someone like an AJ Styles? Where Styles, like I said, had already mentioned that 2026 is going to be his last year in WWE or last time wrestling. Is this something where Gunther is going to be in the conversations to face AJ Styles? Maybe not now, but going into 2026, is this something where Gunther also might retire the phenomenal one, AJ Styles? You know what I mean? Because right now, like I said, WWE could be cooking with gas right now if they do this Gunther shit correctly. If they portray him as this heel, if they portray him as this egotistical prick moving forward, especially going into 2026 after what he just did to John Cena. This could pan out very well for Gunther if WWE and the powers that be do it correctly. Now, I don't want to see, after what Gunther just did to John Cena, go into a match possibly next week on Monday Night Raw and lose a goddamn match. Gunther should not lose at all. Might be crazy for a lot of people, but I don't want to see Gunther lose for quite some time. He's on this hot streak right now. Obviously he just beat John Cena. They need to keep that momentum with Gunther going into 2026. But like I said, I would not be shocked if we get some kind of program here between Gunther and AJ Styles. I mean, you also have to remember that AJ Styles was also an opponent to John Cena in John Cena's retirement tour, which was a fantastic match between Styles and Cena. So again, this could be something where Styles comes in and tries to challenge Gunther because he was friends with Cena. He has a history with Cena. And maybe we get a program here between AJ Styles and Gunther going into 2026. Which, if that's the case, I'm not against it at all. But, like I said, as far as the situation between Gunther and John Cena at Saturday Night's Main Event, I wasn't 100% thrilled with it, at least the finish. But I understand what the outcome was in the storyline leaving that match, where Gunther is going to be the next big heel in professional wrestling, and he's going to be that guy that's going to terrorize WWE in the main roster. And a lot of the people's favorites are going to be destroyed because of the hands of Gunther. John, I mean, again, great career. 23-year career, had a fantastic career, and will go down as one of the greatest of all time. And I wish him the best in his future endeavors moving forward. But as far as my opinion on the match, I wasn't 100% keen on it. I wasn't 100% sold on it. And like I said before, if I'm comparing apples to oranges as far as retirement tours or retirement matches, I had to unfortunately give this one to AEW with the Sting retirement tour and retirement match compared to John Cena's retirement tour and retirement match. But moving on from that, speaking of the Usos kick off tonight. They take on the New Day in the tag team division. The match itself was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between the Usos and the New Day, with the Usos keeping the pace of the match. Grayson Waller, who was ringside, attacks Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso then hits a super kick for a near fall. Referee then throws out Grayson Waller. The Usos then hit a Uso splash off the top rope for a near fall. Xavier Woods then hits a DDT to the outside. Kofi Kingston then hits a Trouble in Paradise on Jey Uso in the middle of the ring. Jey then quickly hits a spear on Woods. Jimmy Uso then hits a spear on Kofi Kingston. The Usos then pretty much line up a 1D in the middle of the ring. They end up hitting a 1D on Kofi Kingston. Pins for the 3. And your winners of the match are the Usos. Hats off to the Usos for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got Io Sky and Rhea Ripley coming out to the ring. Both Io and Rhea try to make their way out to the ring. But the Kabuki Warriors come out to the ring. Asuka sprays mist into Rhea's face. Kabuki Warriors then attack Rhea and Io. Io tries to save Rhea Ripley, but Kairi Sane hits an insane elbow, taking out Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. So it looks like there's some unfinished business here between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and the Kabuki Warriors. Moving on from that, we have a Women's Intercontinental Championship matchup where Maxine Dupri will defend the Women's Intercontinental title against Ivy Nile. The match itself, I thought, was an okay match at best. Back and forth matchup between Dupri and Nile, with Dupri keeping the pace of the match. Maxine Dupri and Ivy Nile both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Ivy Nile hitting a power bomb on Maxine for a near fall. Maxine gets up, hits a power bomb of her own on Ivy Nile for a near fall. Maxine then applies an ankle lock on Ivy Nile, but the hold is broken. Maxine then applies another ankle lock, securing the win for her. And your winner of the match, and still Women's Intercontinental Champion, is Maxxine Dupri. Hats off to Maxxine Dupri for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got CM Punk. CM Punk finally makes his way back to Monday Night Raw after War Games and obviously after the situation that he was dealing with his dog. Again, rest in peace to Larry. CM Punk makes his way out to the ring. Punk talks about War Games and the injuries that he sustained from War Games. Punk then mocks Bron Breakker. Punk says that Breakker can't handle 2025 CM Punk. Punk talks about Heyman's history with talent. Punk says that if Breakker mentions his wife again, this goes from business to personal. Punk then mocks Breakker's family, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. So it looks like things are starting to slowly heat up here between CM Punk and Bron Breakker, especially leading up to their matchup going into the new year. Moving on from that, we have a Women's World Championship matchup where Stephanie Vaquer defends the Women's World title against Raquel Rodriguez. The match itself, I thought was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Stephanie and Raquel, with Raquel keeping the pace of the match. Stephanie hits a devil's kiss on Raquel Rodriguez in the middle of the ring. But out of nowhere, Nikki Bella is here. Nikki attacks Stephanie, and the match ends up ending in a disqualification. So it looks like Nikki Bella has some unfinished business with the Women's World Champion. And moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of Monday Night Raw. It is Logan Paul taking on Rey Mysterio. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Logan and Rey, with Logan keeping the pace of the match. Logan and Rey both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Logan hitting a power slam on Rey Mysterio in the middle of the ring for a near fall. After that, the Vision are here, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Punk then attacks the Vision before they even make their way down to the ring. Heyman then gives Logan Paul his brass knuckles. Rey then hits a 619 on Logan. Rey then has the brass knuckles in his hand, but all of a sudden the masked person comes out of nowhere and hits a foot stomp on Rey Mysterio. This allowed Logan Paul to hit a splash off the top rope, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Logan Paul. After the match, CM Punk is here. Logan Paul has a stare down with the masked assailant, but all of a sudden the masked person didn't want to leave. CM Punk gets in the ring, and then the masked assailant takes off. But then he stops in the crowd and stands in the crowd. And all of a sudden, the masked assailant takes off the mask, and that masked person is none other than Austin Theory. Then Breakker comes out of nowhere and hits a spear on CM Punk and tells CM Punk to never mention his family again. And if he does, he won't be walking ever again. Some interesting stuff there from Bron Breakker and CM Punk. Couple things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Monday Night Raw before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, this was a decent show, even though I believe the show was taped, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were live from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Obviously the main vocal point on Monday Night Raw was Gunther. Everybody wanted to hear what Gunther's rebuttal was going to be, especially after what he did to John Cena in John Cena's last match. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, if WWE does this correctly, they can strike gold. And with Gunther being the biggest heel in the business, this egotistical, prick attitude where he doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks, what anybody says. He's the ring general. He don't give a damn. He's already proven himself countless times. So there's that. WWE could strike gold, strike iron when the iron's hot with Gunther right now, with him coming out of that match with John Cena and him possibly being the biggest heel in the business. The other main vocal point of Monday Night Raw, obviously, was the reveal of the masked assailant that's been seemingly helping the Vision since Survivor Series, and that person is none other than the person that I had predicted was Austin Theory. Now, for what it's worth, a lot of people said there's a lot of things that goes into this, who this masked assailant is, if he's actually working with the Vision, or is he possibly not working with the Vision. Now, this got me thinking a lot. Got my conspiracy, cap on, if you will. What if Austin Theory and this masked assailant is possibly not helping the Vision? Maybe this is something where this masked assailant is not the new member of the Vision. Just a conspiracy. But what if it's something that Seth Rollins is, pulling the strings on who this masked assailant is? Because you got to remember, this masked assailant that we've been seeing as of late has been continuously hitting this foot stomp on different, members of the Monday Night Raw roster. We saw This Master Assailant hit a foot stomp on CM Punk, which ultimately cost his team the match at War Games. We've seen this Master Assailant hit the foot stomp on Rey Mysterio. A couple times, I believe. So again, it does beg the question, is this something where maybe Seth Rollins is pulling the string on who this Masked Assailant is? Is Seth Rollins building something to go up against this newly crowned Vision? I don't know. Just a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying this is going to happen or not, but we never know. Now, if Austin Theory is joining the Vision, great. You know, we obviously, last time we seen Austin Theory in WWE, he was teaming up with Grayson Waller with A-Town Down, and that tag team just did not work at all. So now seeing Austin Theory pretty much reveal himself as this Masked Assailant that's been helping out the Vision, this is only going to benefit Austin Theory. Because if Austin Theory came back into the fold of WWE, nobody really knows what he was going to be doing. Now that he's aligned himself up with the Vision, and more specifically Paul Heyman, this is only going to help Austin Theory in his WWE career. So I'm all for it. I mean, there was even some people that were kind of mocking this, thinking that the person that once they revealed themselves, they thought it was Daniel Garcia from AEW, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. But this benefits Austin Theory immensely if they do it correctly. And like I said, just with my conspiracy, you never know. I'm not sitting here saying it is or it ain't, but again, it would be crazy if this Masked Assailant wasn't really trying to be a part of the Vision. It's crazy to think about it, but at the end of the day, these, Monday Night Raw, I think, was taped on Monday night. I think they were in Hershey, Pennsylvania, at the Giants Center. So obviously, these next couple weeks are going to be taped, whether it's Raw and SmackDown. I think SmackDown was actually taped before Monday Night Raw on the same night in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So these next couple weeks for SmackDown and Raw are going to be taped due to the holidays. So this is a time of year where it's kind of dull and slows down for WWE, especially now going into the new year. Now, when they go into the new year, they're celebrating their anniversary with Netflix, and they already got that CM Punk Braun Breaker match. It's going to be a definitely interesting match to see for sure between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. But like I said, man, I mean, I don't think Raw was terrible. I think the main vocal points obviously were Gunther. A lot of people wanted to hear what he had to say after he beat John Cena in Cena's last match, and then we finally get the reveal of who this Masked Assailant was, and it's none other than Austin Theory. So we're going to see how things play out. I'm interested to see who's next for Gunther. Is it going to be AJ Styles? Is it going to be... Who knows? We don't. That's the beauty of the entire thing. We don't know who's going to be the next person to challenge Gunther next. I wouldn't mind seeing AJ Styles versus Gunther at all. And like I said, you got to remember, AJ Styles has already announced that 2026 is his last year in professional wrestling. So it's going to be very telling to see what happens with AJ Styles going into 2026. And keep in mind that Gunther is already retired. Goldberg and Gunther had Goldberg's retirement match, but Gunther also retired John Cena. So is this something where maybe Gunther is going to possibly retire AJ Styles? And my standpoint's the same with the retirement tour shit, man. I genuinely believe that the way AEW handled Sting's retirement tour and his retirement match was put together way better than what WWE did for John Cena. Hands down. It's night and day, bro. Seriously. With that being said, excited to see what's going to happen next for Gunther. And hopefully we get some kind of rebuttal from Austin Theory on really what the hell he is, what's going on. What is he doing? And hopefully we get some kind of insight on that, on why he's been helping out the Vision. Maybe going into next week's Monday Night Raw. So we're going to see how things play out, man. But like I said, it wasn't that bad of a Monday Night Raw, to say the least. But with that being said, though, this is my review of Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.